Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good morning. My name is Aurellia Zafirah jacinda. Today I will tell you a film, Crazy Rich Asian. This Crazy Rich Asian film tells about love and culture in Asia, which still believes that the blessing of parents is everything. The love journey of an ordinary woman with a rich man named Rachel Chu, who is a professor of economics at the University of New York, and Nick Young, a businessman and son of the richest man in Singapore. Rachel Chu and Nick met when they were both still in college. When Nick was in New York, he met Rachel and ate at a cafe. After Rachel finished teaching, while eating, Rachel received an invitation to accompany Nick back to Singapore to attend Nick's best friend's engagement ceremony. It was in Singapore that Rachel met Nick's parents and family for the first time. When she first arrived in Singapore, Rachel met her college friend named Paitlin and her family. That Rachel told about her boyfriend, which surprised Paitlin and her family that her boyfriend was the richest person in Singapore. Paitlin tells all of Nick's family work history, but at first Rachel doesn't believe it, because when he first met Nick, he admitted that he was just an ordinary person, not from among the richest people. However, Paitlin kept telling and warning Rachel that Nick's family and friends will criticize and ridicule Rachel, even though Rachel doesn't care. Hearing that Rachel's lover is the richest person in Singapore, Paitlin immediately chooses the best clothes to attend Nick's family dinner party, and Paitlin also takes Rachel to Nick's family house. During a dinner party at Nick's house, Nick introduced Rachel to her mother, Eleanor. When Rachel introduced herself, Nick's mother already seemed to dislike Rachel, and she immediately looked for Rachel's family background. However, Nick still convinces Rachel that his mother likes him. After that, Rachel was introduced to Nick's cousin, Astrid, who was a crazy rich woman. Nick also introduced Rachel to his grandmother. When meeting, Rachel makes a good impression with Nick's grandmother. However, Rachel worries that Eleanor, Nick's mother, doesn't like her even though she makes a good impression on Nick's grandmother. The next day, Nick and Rachel attended Nick's best friend's engagement party. There Rachel met Amanda, who confessed that she was Nick Young's ex. At first, Amanda was nice to Rachel, but in the end she criticized and ridiculed Rachel. Because of this, Rachel returned to her hotel room, and when she entered, Rachel saw her room was damaged and scribbled with insults from materialistic woman. At that time, Nick was not with Rachel because Nick was having fun with his boyfriend across the island. When Rachel ran out of the room, she accidentally met Nick's cousin Astrid, and Astrid comforted Rachel for the actions of Nick's and Amanda's friends. Astrid also said she went to the engagement party because she found out that her husband, Mikhail, was caught cheating. When Nick was with his best friend Colin, he told me he wanted to propose to Rachel. Colin also talked about Rachel's work in America. Not long after that, Nick returned to see Rachel and intended to propose to Rachel. However, Nick sees Rachel crying and Rachel tells her what happened. Nick apologizes for what happened to Rachel and apologizes for not telling her about her family. The next day, Nick invites Rachel back to make dumplings with Nick's family, which is attended by Nick's mother, Nick's grandmother, and Nick's cousin Astrid. Rachel actually admires Nick's mother's engagement ring. Later, Eleanor recounts the sacrifice she made to be part of the young family and tells Rachel that Rachel will never be enough. Rachel is shocked by what Nick's mother said. which makes Rachel hesitant to attend Colin's wedding, but Paisley convinces her to fight Eleanor and help her prepare. At the wedding, Eleanor and Suyi clashed with Rachel and Nick because Nick's mother revealing evidence of a personal investigation. Nick's mother reveals that Rachel is the daughter of Rachel's mother. Carrie left her husband and fled to the United States. Because of this, Rachel and Nick were asked to end their relationship for fear of the scandal. Rachel left crying, leaving Nick's family, while Nick chased after him despite his grandmother's warning. Rachel went to Paisley's house where Rachel was staying for a few days. Rachel's mother arrived in Singapore suddenly and explained that her husband was abusive and that she was pregnant from an old friend who tried to comfort her, then ran away in fear of her husband. Carrie told Rachel that Nick had arranged Carrie visits and urged Rachel to talk to him. When they met, Nick apologized and proposes to Rachel. Before Rachel and her mother leave, Rachel meets Nick's mother in the mahjong room and tells her that she turned down Nick's proposal so that Nick's relationships with this family won't be ruined, and that when Nick married another woman who was enough for Eleanor, it was thanks to Rachel. Rachel accidentally loses the game to Eleanor and leaves the room with Carrie, her mother. Rachel and Carrie board a plane back to New York City, but are stopped by Nick, who proposes to her with Eleanor's ring and repels his mother's blessing to them. Rachel accepts Nick's proposal, and they stay in Singapore one more night for their engagement party where Eleanor honors Rachel. The life lessons that can be taken from this film are: number 1, we don't judge someone just from their appearance. 2, happiness can be bought with money. 3, don't be afraid to be yourself. And 4, be a friend who is not only good but also always there when needed.
Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.